Good Friday morning to you. Well, it's Friday. We're going to take one last look at the peace of God as our Friday focus. And maybe this week and last week you have tuned in to the political conventions and you've listened to both parties tell us how wonderful they are and why we should vote in their direction. But aside from politics, whatever your political leanings are, you know, if you're a Christian, that the only peace in this world, the true peace, comes only from God. And we've talked before on Fridays about the peace with God, which is our relationship with God through Christ, and the peace of God, which is more an inside thing. And we all want that. We want to have peace in the inside. But this morning, I just want to remind you that the peace of God on the inside of you depends in large part on the acts of peace outside of you, the acts of peace that you commit when you live a life of peace. As the psalmist says in the Old Testament, seek peace and pursue it, turn away from evil. Now, in the book of 2 Corinthians, the Apostle Paul ends that book by addressing the Corinthian church, which was in turmoil. It was filled, we read in chapter 12, as he concludes the book, we read that he feared that his next visit to Corinth would be met with disagreement and quarreling and jealousy and anger and deceit and disorder, the things that he witnessed in the church at Corinth. And they were desperately in need of peace. And so he comes to the end of that letter, the second letter, and he says this: Therefore, brothers, rejoice. Therefore, brothers, rejoice. Aim for restoration. Comfort one another. Agree with one another. And the God of love and peace will be with you. And so Paul reminds the church that there are certain things they need to do if they are to know the peace that Jesus left us, the peace that's not as the world gives peace, but as Jesus gives peace. And it depends, before it can be on the inside of you, it depends on what you do and the way you live your life. So let's break that verse down just a little bit. He says, first he says, rejoice, rejoice. Let that be your mindset, to not to forget to rejoice in who God is. And then he says, aim for restoration. Is there a relationship in your life that needs to be restored, needs to be rebuilt, needs your attention? Aim for restoration. Comfort one another. Is there someone in your life who needs to know God's comfort so that you can be a tool in their life to bring the comfort of God to them? Agree with one another. Not about every little thing, not about politics for sure, but agree on those core truths which make us a family, a church family. The person of Jesus, the work of Jesus on the cross, our need to minister to one another, to pray for one another. And then he says finally, then and only then will the love and the peace of God be with you. So before we think of peace as being just a feeling that comes and goes, let's remember that we have a responsibility to live a life of peace. And that will bring the peace that we seek on the inside. So have a wonderful Friday. Conan will be preaching to us on Sunday on anxiety from Matthew chapter 6, I believe. So hope to see you then. Have a wonderful Friday.